We're going live now. Right, 10 September 2020, and I'm live with Mr. Albert Matapo from the Zimbabwe People Power Movement. We're live on Facebook. How are you, sir?
I'm fine, Ms. Gambagwe. How about you? Greetings to viewers. Thank you very much.
Fantastic. So, Mr. Matapo, you've been gone for quite some time, and we haven't talked to you for almost 2 weeks. Can you give us a general update on what you've been up to?
I've been having tough time because I had exams over the last 2 weeks, because we were supposed to write some exams last time, but unfortunately, because of this coronavirus, we delayed to write those exams. So I was quite tied up with exams. That's why I was scarce. I was there, I was available, but not so much, simply because I was busy with some other things. So I know viewers might have been wondering what exactly has been going on, but I've been that tied up. Only that.
Okay, so that's fantastic, and I'm happy that you're back, and we'll continue with our weekly discussions. So today I want to start off with our main topic. There was a shooting in an area called Chivhu, and one soldier passed away last week. Are you familiar with that incident?
Yes, I'm quite familiar with that incident. May their souls rest in eternal peace. Unfortunately, there were fatalities, and that's not what we expect. We don't want that, people to lose their lives, but unfortunately that happened. I'm quite aware, yes.
Okay, so what I want to do is, I want to give you the information that I have on the soldier who passed away, and then we'll go and discuss some more about the incident. So the young soldier who passed away is called Lawrence Mpanganyama, and I've been doing some research, and I found out that his father is a member of a party called ZIPP. He's actually the Pollard representative in ZIPP, according to the information that I received. So he was a spokesman of a party called ZIPP. And if you go on the internet, you will see that there was a story about him. So that is the father who is here. If you are looking, you can see this report. It says, Boga's former ZIPP member in Poland exposed. And they go on to say here, there's the leader of the party, I think it's called Kasiamuru. He's saying this guy is not supposed to be our Poland representative. So if you go on zimi.net, you'll see this story. And I've also looked around on the internet, and I managed to see the photo of the young soldier. So if you look on our screen, I'm sorry we've covered our faces there, but if you look on this screen, this is the young man who was shot in Chivhu. So the information that I have, obviously, is that this young man was a reservist, and he was deployed in that area, and they were moving around as two of them protecting the police. He was buried yesterday, and the Zimbabwe National Army was there. They went to the burial. I think there's an army process what that happens. So maybe you can give us more detail of what happens when an army person dies, but they went there to bury him. I don't know what honors they bestow upon someone that passes away in this way. So I think basically that's the information that we have. The father is a prominent member of Poland. And if you look on the internet, you can see that he's called Innocent Mpanganyama. There's a lot of information about him on the internet. And unfortunately, I can't share all of it here, but obviously, if you search for the name Innocent Mpanganyama, you will find out more about him. I also got information that he was obviously a prominent war veteran. Someone was well known during the farm invasions, and he used to work for the National Railways of Zimbabwe. And during that time, I think Linda Masarira went into the party called ZIPP. She was also there. So they were all in there. After the closure of NRZ, he was a train driver in Mutare. Linda Masarira, in fact, Linda Masarira was a train guard in Mutare, and he was a train driver in Bulawayo. So these are people that became active following the retrenchments that happened when the Zuma case, where people were allowed to be retrenched. There were some of the people who came out of that case, they were retrenched in one day, thousands of them. So this is the information that I've got about the father, and the son obviously was killed in that incident, that shooting incident. So I think for now, that's the information I could give. If anyone has questions, they can obviously ask on the comments if there's more information that we need to give. So, Mr. Matapo, I want to just ask, when a soldier is killed in these circumstances, what happens?
Yeah. In this case, let me, before I answer directly your question, I need just to remind the viewers and public that this situation we are facing today is similar to the situation that was faced during Gukura Hundi. Almost history repeats itself. Because remember, the people who were used to massacre people in Matabeleland were people who had been trained by North Korea. And they were militia. They were not the real army. They were those who were more like on reserve. Just like this particular situation, I am on record as having been saying that Mnangagwa and team right now, they are busy recruiting youngsters. They are taking youngsters from the rural areas, maybe people between the ages of 18 to 35. They are taking them, those who are suffering, they have no money, they have nothing. So they take them, they train them at Shamba base, and they become reserve soldiers. And these are the same people who are then used to brutalize members of the opposition and victimize Zimbabweans across the nation. And this is exactly what happened. This youngster who was shot dead, may his soul rest in eternal peace. I don't wish that he would have died, but I'm only saying he was one of those who were on reserve, and they were not in the regular army. So the army is not supposed to be taking any measures, because this was not army. It was more like a party, a ZANU-PF militia who was on a particular task. And unfortunately, they went into this kind of predicament. And so the regular procedure, army procedures, were not supposed to take toll. But anyway, if he was a real soldier, then because he died, in action, he died at work. So the army was supposed to take charge and bury him. That was proper. That's the procedure within the army. But I'm not sure why they did exactly the same thing to somebody who was on reserve like that. In my view, he was more of a militia who is not under the general command of the Zimbabwe National Army, but under command of ZANU-PF. This is unfortunate. ZANU-PF is repeating exactly what it did, what they did from 1983 to 1987, when they massacred people in Matabeleland. This is something that we should not accept. So otherwise, that's all I can say now for that, on that issue.
Okay, so before we go into the incident itself, I think we all know what happened. I read the police report here. The question that I would like to ask is this someone's signal? What would be the motive? In Zimbabwe, we're not used to such a thing. What would be a motive for this kind of public display of terrorism?
Look, we condemn violence. I condemn violence totally. We don't want any violence in our country. We don't want people who kill other people. We don't want the state to kill anybody or anyone to kill another person. So for anybody to have given a signal which resulted in these people dying, that person who may have given such kind of a signal was just doing a suicide. That on its own is suicidal. Yes, I agree. It could be. In my view, I think that the regime itself is the one that stage managed all this, or rather, because this is something that happened really. But the regime did it so that they can justify whatever they want to do to the public. They want to continue persecuting the public. Right now, they have put the army on high alert for no apparent reason. And it is justified by this kind of a scenario. So I want to go further and say, in the first place, why did Emmerson Mnangagwa deploy the army within the public? The army is there to protect the public, but not to intimidate the public. How can he deploy armed gangs to be within the public with guns loaded with bullets like that? When it is common cause that if you give your children weapons, they end up injuring one another for no apparent reason. Why? What is it that that made him, Emmerson Mnangagwa, to deploy these armed gangs? This is something that is not acceptable, because yes, we may say it might be somebody's signal, and there might be a mixture of, rival groupings. Because don't forget that previously in Chivhu, the police had an altercation with the army. There were some fights within the police and the army. And that might have been the reason that triggered this kind of thing happening. And maybe you give me the opportunity to also make a comment on those who were killed, the other two people who were said to have been killed. I would want to talk about that maybe at a later stage. Maybe you give me the opportunity to also explain that.
Yes, most definitely. I will give you an opportunity to. So let us go through the chain of events from the beginning so that we don't lose track of what happened. Yeah. So according to media reports, the people who killed these two soldiers were watching them for hours. So some people who sail around that area told investigators that the people who killed this young soldier was watching, or one or two of them was watching the bus, observing what was happening there. So it was not like they walked up there and just shot.
Yeah.
And then an altercation arose. So the soldier talked to the person that shot him, or one of the people that shot him, and he had turned his back on the person that shot him, according to the report, the official police report. Do you think there was proper training for the reservists, or they're just people who are taught how to shoot, but they're not actually trained to do anything?
It is now very difficult for the public to actually know exactly what happened, because unfortunately they decided to shoot these suspects. But otherwise, I think there is more to it than what meets the eye. Because why would a soldier who is deployed to do work be called by a civilian and he takes orders from that particular civilian? He agrees to go and have a discussion outside your deployment area. That alone says a lot. It is either this young soldier was not well trained, or there was something. Right now, I mean, there is a grapevine which says that one of those, I mean, that guy who shot the soldier had his wife who was being taken by this soldier. And for us to say that is what happened, or it did not happen, is difficult now to say, because we do not have the other side, explaining exactly what happened. So I think there could be a combination of things, that this young man was not well trained, and at the same time, there is something beyond what you and me might see by our naked eyes. So that's what I think.
Okay, and then after the actual shooting, members of the public were seen on video carrying the young soldier. So it was not the police who were carrying the young soldier. I want to play for you this clip very, very quickly of the incident.
Soja apfurwa pachifu yamana varova munhu akapfurwa pachifu. Ndini ndiri kutotumira live paDurban Joburg. Apfurwa musoja. Soja apfurwa.
Right. So you saw there that members of the public were holding the soldier. And I saw that some people joined us late and they didn't see the picture. So I'm going to put the picture of the young soldier here so that you can see him. So the civilians were carrying this soldier from wherever he was shot. The police who were in the bus, I cannot see them there. I'm seeing members of the public. I understand that the two female police were hiding under the bench. And obviously the other one was shot. So what happened here? Is it that the police, the soldiers or the police don't have transport in Chivhu, so that the public had to carry him to the hospital? What could have happened there?
I think there is something that they are trying to conceal, because whatever happened, they should have taken cars that were around, either police car or some other vehicles, and carried this young soldier to the hospital. How could they have used just the public to carry an injured soldier like that? It means there could be something that they are trying to conceal, that they don't want the public to know. Because if you look at that video, I don't see the army, I don't see the police there, and where are they? Why did that happen like that? There could be something quite big. Why exactly they had to do it that way? Because that was not the best way to do it. They should have used vehicles either from the army or from the police, or even from the general public, but that did not happen. So yeah, honestly, something beyond what we think happened there.
Okay, now let's go back to the altercation.
Yeah.
If you are a soldier and someone confronts you and you are on patrol, at what point can you shoot someone? Or can you defend yourself? Do you have standing orders to shoot? What is the situation?
Yeah. Usually, if you are in the battlefront, you get orders from your commander to shoot. You don't just shoot. You wait for orders. The army works with orders. You can only, shoot after the commander has said, go ahead and shoot. In this case, it's a slightly different scenario because this young soldier is the one who was shot at first. So there was no way he would have possibly fired back because that was done too fast. But why was it done that way? What exactly had they discussed? Because this young soldier had gone to the suspected shooter, and they had discussed. What had they discussed? That is what prompted this altercation. This is what prompted possibly the suspect to shoot at this young soldier. So it's difficult to tell, but the procedure is that a young soldier can only shoot after they have been given orders to do so.
Okay, so if I'm a soldier and I'm carrying an AK-47 and someone comes and, let's say, for example, they slapped me, can I shoot them?
No, you can't shoot them. You can, because you see, if they do that, you have to use other means of apprehending that particular person. You can either, because you are not alone, and others, you have to, do something. Because you see, shooting someone, killing someone is a heavy sentence. Everybody is supposed to be tried by a court of law, whatever crime that somebody has committed, unless if somebody is engaging you in a war, yes, then that is dealt with separately. But if somebody slaps you with his hand, then there is no way you can shoot to kill that somebody. But unless if the threat is so huge, then maybe you can shoot the legs so that the person can defend themselves in a court of law.
Okay, what if someone comes and pretends to be my superior and is not my superior? Do I turn my back on them, and then what do I do? Because I'm trying to come to, when you're put in the field, what kind of instructions do you get to engage with a threat? Because you're there to neutralize threats. What would be the standing threats for a standing instruction for a reservist?
Yeah, that's why I'm saying, in the first place, these reservists were not supposed to be where they were. They were in the wrong place altogether, because we don't have a situation of war in Zimbabwe. And why were they there? So obviously, the instructions that they got could be totally different, because you cannot have soldiers just be deployed in an area where there is no war. And then what sort of instructions, what clear standing orders do they have? It becomes very difficult. And if somebody comes and says is your superior, obviously you cannot accept that, because you have got your superior with you, unless if you are the highest rank there. But even though, when you get instructions at deployment, you know your reporting structure, you know where you are reporting to. So you cannot just accept every Tom and Dick who says, I am your superior, and they want to give you orders. No, orders come from a specific line. If you are well trained, you know that kind of thing.
Right, Mr. Matapo, what I want to do now is I want to give you a short 1-minute break, and I'm going to read through the comments that we have here. And the first comment that I'm going to look at here is that from Dobiwa Tembingosi, who says the Chivhu hospital is very near to the Chicken Inn where the incident occurred. Then I've got a comment here from Onias Ndoro, who says Zimbabwe doesn't have the capacity to carry any casualty of any magnitude. Resources are scarce in Zimbabwe, especially in emergency services. So I want to agree with you there. And the reason why I agree with you is that when I had an accident near Harare a few years ago, there was no ambulance. We were just standing outside and people were badly injured. and no ambulance came. We ended up having to be carried by someone else to the hospital. And then I want to look at Vojoza. He says, Matapo, no, the thing is very simple. The soldier was called and he responded thinking that it's senior officer. It's a senior officer within the deployment area. So my understanding is that there's a base there in Chivhu. So it's possible that if you're deployed in that area, there is already senior officers in the area. So I want Mr. Matapo to keep track of that question, of that comment that I made now, that there is a base there somewhere around Chivhu. So is it possible that he thought it was a senior officer within the deployment area? And then I want to look at Ramai, who is saying that Mr. Matapo is a student at 58. I don't know, Ramai, how you know this. I'm going to ask Mr. Matapo to give us a comment on that. And then we want to go to, let's look at other. Ramai again says this is an assumption. And Madanire saying, I love Gababu for the good job you guys are doing. Thank you, Madanire. And let's look at Maita Kawira watching from Mozambique. Right, I think I've given Mr. Matapo enough of a break. So let's continue. And of course, we are talking for a long time now. And what I found out is that the lives are very interesting compared to when we're talking offline, because obviously there are not 1,000 people watching us. Right now we're live on Facebook and YouTube, and we obviously are under a lot of pressure compared to when we're working offline. So Mr. Matapo, let's now go to the soldiers that have been sent to hospital. One was shot 9 times. One was shot 3 times. The one who died was shot 3 times. The one who survived was shot 6 times. This kind of shooting, of pumping 9 bullets into someone or into people, what does it show about the intention?
Yeah, I think, you know, shooting somebody 9 times, it means there was a lot of anger from the other part, or it shows the other part, whoever shot this other person, really wanted that person to die. That's what it means. Because you see, pumping 9 bullets into somebody is it's not a joke. So the intention is very clear that they wanted the other part to die. That's what I can only say.
Okay, could this be people who are trained in military, the attackers? Now that we don't know who they are, the fact that they disarmed these soldiers, they were brave enough to approach, and then they shot and managed to escape. Are these military people?
Yeah, in my view, I think they are military people. I think they are militants, and they could be ex-soldiers, they could be ex-police, they could be ex-CIOs, they could be ex-prison officers, or they got some kind of training somewhere. But I believe that these must be trained people. They cannot just be ordinary people.
Okay, then now let's go to the investigation. What would have been required to carry out a proper forensic investigation of this incident? What was supposed to be the process, and what really happened on the ground?
Yeah, there is quite a lot that needs to be done, because maybe they need to look at, to start with, they need to look at the people who were around when this young soldier was called, and they have to, you know, find out from them exactly how it happened. That process of calling, what the actual words that were used to call this young soldier, why the young soldier had to respond, had to accept and go outside to talk to these people. If there is anybody who had or overheard whatever discussion that took place, he has to also you know, explain. And if these attackers were saying something as they were shooting, then that also has to be taken into account to see exactly what intention it was. From what they were saying as they were shooting and as all this was taking place, then something should come out. And lucky that the other soldier is alive. Let's pray that the other soldier continues to survive so that he can explain what happened. And not only that, but also the fact that there were two, it is said there were two female police officers who were also present. Maybe they overheard what was being said, how all this went about. So I believe forensic experts should be able to get every small detail of what happened and be able to trace that. Not only that, but it is said that the attackers had pistols, and if they are the real people who were then finally shot dead, I think then the pistols were recovered. Whatever was recovered can show exactly where these people were coming from and what had happened even before. Their history can be checked. There is a lot of information that can actually be obtained from their phones, from their pistols. If those pistols, how they got those pistols, if at all they are on record. If they are not on state record, then obviously if those pistols had committed some crime somewhere, that information should be able to be obtained, and that can indicate exactly the intention of these people and also where they were coming from. That's what I think.
Right, Mr. Matabo, I've got two questions that are very important that have been asked. Yeah. The first one was, if a soldier is given instructions, why did he entertain a civilian? So that was the first question. And then the second one, which is related, is what advice can you give to a security agent, especially soldiers, when they are on operations? So there are two related questions.
Yes, I mean, I agree with those. The first question, that why did that soldier entertain any other instruction if they had enough instructions? But maybe the reason why he entertained, why the situation happened like that, is that this, as I have said before, that the young soldier might not have had good training at all. And also the instructions that they have, wherever they are, is ad hoc, is that kind of instruction which is not quite clear. They do, because there is no war in Zimbabwe. And what sort of instructions could they be having? Obviously, the instructions are politically motivated. They are not militarily motivated. They are not military instructions. Rather, they are political instructions that we expect that members of the public might demonstrate. So if they demonstrate, you must shoot them. Those kind of instructions. And so when this young soldier was called by the suspected attacker, and if he confused him with his superior, then maybe he expected to get further instructions that you must do 1, 2, 3. It means they don't have standing instructions. They are getting instructions as they go, because this is more to do with politics than it is to do with military. Military instructions are very clear. We are going to face the enemy. When we see the enemy, the commander is going to give you instructions to shoot or whatever. But in this case, there is no enemy at all. There is no one who is fighting in Zimbabwe. And the public is just public with no weapons at all. And why should the government deploy, armed, people like this to go into the public? That is the biggest. That is where the issue is. The public should be asking Mnangagwa and team why they are deploying armed gangsters into people. Are they trying to intimidate the public? And for what reason? We don't. Mnangagwa does not own us. Mnangagwa does not own Zimbabwe. Does he own the people of Zimbabwe? He does not. So why should he abuse people of Zimbabwe by making use of state resources? And then you take youngsters, arm them, you deploy them into people. That is not acceptable. The people of Zimbabwe should look at this and critically analyze this. I mean, we cannot allow to be abused this way. This is the worst abuse that we are getting, because we are having people who are threatening our lives. Because if somebody is holding a gun and mingling with us, that is not fair. We must live our lives nicely. We must be free people, because the leadership, government, is there because of us. Government is not there because they own us. Zimbabwe is not a farm where somebody will say, this is my farm. So the public should be more concerned about why these people were deployed more than anything else. And if at all we should do something, this is enough ground for us to question this regime, why they are abusing us.
Right, Mr. Matapo, we're going now to a very important comment from Mashingo T1. And he says, in this day and age, it is shocking that we still don't have the identity of the attackers. Now, I want to ask about the responsibility of the government in providing information on this incident. Are we supposed to have this information from the government to say who attacked, what are the potential motives, where were they shot, what were the circumstances around the shooting of the attackers, what were the guns that they were using, the serial numbers, if there were differences, why were they different? Are we supposed to get this information?
It is our right. Remember, government is there for us. Government is there to work for us. Government is not supposed to hide anything. It is our right, because everything, the resources that are being used are ours. The country is ours. The government must be our government. They cannot claim to be superior to the public. No, they cannot afford to hide any information from us. We need to know. They have to tell us who attacked who and why, and what means, and what weapons, and why are these serial numbers so different. I mean, it is our right. We must demand to know all that. They cannot intimidate us. They cannot use any means to silence us. We have to know.
Right. What the Zimbabwe military has a law. I think it's the Zimbabwe Defense Forces Act. Does it have any part which speaks about this kind of situations, what information the army should provide, and if a civilian wants to receive this information, how do they go about it? Because obviously they know the identity of the killers. They've revealed some names, one of the names, but we don't know if that name is correct. We don't know where he's coming from. We don't know what are the potential reasons why he attacked or why they attacked. Is there a part of a law in Zimbabwe Defense Act that allows a civilian or a group to approach the army and say, we want that information?
Look, this is not the responsibility of the army to give us information. The army only acts on instructions from the commander-in-chief, who is Emerson Mnangagwa. It is government, Ministry of Information and the President's office who should give us this information. It's not about the Defense Act. The Defense Act guides how soldiers go about their business. It does, when something happens within the army or within the police or within any sector of the economy, it goes back to the rightful channels, so that the rightful channels have to inform the public, tell us exactly what happened and why it happened. Because remember, the government reports to us, to the public. So they must tell us whatever it is. I mean, Defense Act protects only secrets within the army, how the army operates. This is not about how the army operates. The army was deployed and then they acted, whether they were shot or they shot somebody. but they acted. Now, what we want to know is, why did Mnangagwa deploy them, armed soldiers? And who shot the young soldier? Remember, the young soldier is also our child. Whoever was whoever shot him is also a Zimbabwean. So we are saying both parties are ours. I am not against the young soldier, no, because he is a Zimbabwean. He deserves to live. He was not supposed to be shot. Whoever shot him must have been put before the court of laws, because that's not fair. Why did that person shoot the young soldier? So I'm not against the young soldier. At the same time, I'm not against those who were shot. I'm only saying they were supposed to be put before court of laws so that they tell us exactly, so that this kind of thing cannot repeat next time. It won't happen again. So the Defense Act is subject to the Constitution. It's not above our Constitution. The Constitution is very clear. Every other information has to be public. We need to know it.
Okay, so from what I've said in the beginning, I know many people joined later on. The young soldier, his identity was Lawrence Mpanganyama, and his father is a prominent member of Poland. He's called Innocent Mpanganyama, and he's in a party called ZIPP. I shared his picture in the beginning, the father, and unfortunately, I was unable to speak to him, and I want to try and share his face here. I hope that I get right. That's him here. He is with his Innocent Mutakiwa Mpanganyama. If you go to Facebook, you can see this. This is him here on the left, and I think on the right is Blessing Kasiamuru. They are in a political party called the ZIPP. They are members of Poland, but what happened is that ZIPP refused to go into Poland, but Mpanganyama himself then went into Poland, but not as part of Poland, of ZIPP. I don't know how he got in there, but he was the spokesman, and then ZIPP disowned him, and it's all up here on the internet. You can see ZIPP saying that he's bogus and he's not their representative. If you go on Zimai, you'll see that story there. It was written in on May 22, 2019, and you can see all the Poland people here. He's also linked to Linda Masarira, because I think Linda Masarira was within this same group of ZIPP in the beginning, before they were chased by the bosses there in ZIPP. Linda Masarira must have fallen out with these people. They were also working together at NRZ, and they were all retrenched at the same time. He was a train driver in Bulawayo when Linda Masarira was a train guard in Mutare. I think I got this correct. And the other information that I wanted to review, obviously, is that he was buried. The young soldier Lawrence was buried yesterday with full military honors, according to the information that I got. And I remember I received as the name of the school that he attended, and I'm going to ask you to allow me to look in my cell phone. So I'm going to try and find the school where he went. The young man Lawrence, and we'll take. Let me give you the school there. Right, the school is St. Joseph Mupereki Primary School, and he is from an area called Mondoro Ngezi. That is where this family is coming from. And Mr. Matapo, you've taken us through what a soldier is supposed to do, the fact that they are not supposed to have deployed reservists because there's no war, and therefore these reservists are not having proper instructions. They do whatever they are commanded to do. Sometimes they take political orders. And you also say that information must be revealed on the killers, who these killers are, because we want to know what their motive was. Now, I want to go to the fact that the killers were shot or they were killed. Was there no other way of capturing them without killing them?
There were so many ways. Trained soldiers know how to go about. I mean, there is no way the whole army could have failed to capture only 2 people. I mean, the worst thing that they should have done was to shoot them, maybe to shoot their legs, so that they would have fallen down instead of really killing them. And if you look at the way the 2 guys, the 2 shooters were killed, they were shot from the back because they were lying down, front down, and we could see the back. So when you shoot somebody from the back, it means that somebody is running away. So they were supposed to shoot the legs and not shooting them to kill. If these 2 shooters were really facing the soldiers, shooting the soldiers back, then we should have seen them being shot from the front, not from the back. So if experts go and examine these bodies, they will see that bullets went in through the back. It means these people were running away. So whoever is running away, you are not supposed to shoot them to kill, but they were supposed to shoot their legs and capture them alive, so that today they would be explaining exactly why they did it. I mean, one, whether they are the real ones who did it, and then why they did it, so that there is no repeat of such a thing. Otherwise, we are just keeping a very big problem that is going to come again in the future, because nobody knows the intention. So that's what they should have done.
Right. I think we've got this covered up to the point where we are now, where everyone doesn't really know what happened. And I think as the situation develops, we'll obviously come back to it. Is there anything else that you want to say about the subject of the shooting in Chivhu?
Yes. I only want to say that this is a time that Zimbabweans should realize that we are coming back to a situation that happened in Matabeleland. 1983 to 1987 is a period where, or when, such a thing happened to the people, to the Ndebele-speaking people, and the Shona-speaking people were comfortable. I'm not saying they wanted it to happen, but I'm only saying it was difficult for us as Shona-speaking people to see how brutal, how bad it was when it was happening to the Ndebele-speaking people. And today, it's something that is now happening in the whole country. And this is when we are now opening up our eyes. We should learn from this experience, because these are militias who are now being deployed throughout Zimbabwe. A repeat of Gukurahundi is likely to happen. We should unite, come together. This is why we have this project, Zimbabwe People Power Movement. The purpose for Zimbabwe People Power Movement is not to divide any political party or to disadvantage anybody. But we are saying, let us put politics aside. We are divided along political lines. We are divided along tribal lines. We are divided along racial lines. Shall we put all that aside, unite once, and we face the regime? The regime does not need to be given options. Anybody who says 2023 is going to see us winning, we are going to win, yes. We have been winning, but we will never get to power. We will never take power from ZANU. So whoever is saying let's wait for 2023 is indirectly supporting ZANU-PF. Let us unite, put politics aside. Those who support ZANU-PF, come and join us. Those who support MDC Alliance, come and join us. Those who support MDCT, come and join us. Mutwakazi people, come and join us. Churches, come and join us. Lawyers, nurses, doctors, teachers, diasporans, everybody, we must all come together under Zimbabwe People Power Movement. We look at what happened in United States of America and many parts of the world where people simply declared independence and said we are now independent from dictators. These dictators will never go the easy way. They will never go by way of elections. It is only that we take a stand and say we are independent from now and we move on. I have said even ZANU-PF supporters should join, because there are so many ZANU-PF supporters who thought that they had leaders who were leading them to Canaan. But those are not leaders. They are gangs of thieves. They are murderers. They are liars, election riggers. Anybody who still trusts such kind of people like Emerson Mnangagwa and team, then I'm sorry to say this, that such kind of a person then is a fool. Let us not be fools. Let us unite and be one thing. Zimbabwe People Power Movement is not a political party. It's a social movement which accommodates every Zimbabwean from all walks of life, so that then we can go ahead and declare independence. Right now, we have got more than 4.8 million signatures of Zimbabweans who are saying they are in for it. They want us to declare independence, like what was done on 4 July 1776 by the Americans when they declared independence from Britain. That's exactly what was copied by Ian Smith in 1965 when he declared unilateral declaration of independence. The Filipinos did it in 1986. The Egyptians did it in 2012. The Sudanese did it last year, 2019. And this year, the Malians did it. Yes, they used the army, but it's just a different way of doing it. Let us not call it a coup, because you see, we have to deal with these dictators. We have to remove them. We have to take power back to us, because they are not the people. They are just stealing with their families. So Zimbabweans, this is the opportunity where we should unite under one bracket. I know people have whatever differences. Put differences aside. We are going to form a national transitional authority very soon and be part of it. For you to be part of that national transitional authority that is coming, be part of Zimbabwe People Power Movement now. And that is the way. Thank you.
Right. Thank you very much, Mr. Albert Matapo from the Zimbabwe People Power Movement. And I'm very grateful about the information that you've given us. It has brought a lot of clarity on how these operations, military operations, are supposed to work. And many people know that you were an officer in the army of Zimbabwe. And so these kind of things that we're talking about, these are things that you know. There is one question that I want to end with here. And this question is saying, you've been telling us that you are going to give a signal. How come there's no signal yet?
Thank you. Yes, I've been saying exactly that, the signal. I'm going to give a signal. I'm still saying I'm going to give a signal. The signal is coming. Sungai Jombo. Time for us to be liberated is coming. That's why I am saying right now, I'm proudly saying that Zimbabweans responded by way of signing signatures on the petition. We now have more than 4.8 million signatures, close to 5 million signatures. It means 5 million Zimbabweans gave Zimbabwe People Power Movement mandate to give a signal. That petition on its own is part of the signal. People, Zimbabweans should know that. And the next step is that we are now going to be submitting this petition to the various stakeholders, United Nations, African Union, European Union, SADC, ECOWAS, US government, Canadian government, UK government, South African government, Swedish government, and so on and so forth. So we are not going to submit, of course, to every other government, but we are going to submit to selected governments, and we are going to put this petition with everything else that it deserves. And then we take next steps. The signal is coming. It will be unique. It will be one of its own kind. No matter what, whatever Mnangagwa and team do, we are going to give signal and we will move forward. So that I can assure the public, I can assure the people of Zimbabwe, what we need is unity. We need unity of purpose, and we need that unity. National Transitional Authority will be set up from the day that I give signal, and that will happen. Thank you.
Right, Mr. Matapo, I would like to thank you very much. And I would like to end with a comment here from Ram Mai Chuhera, who says that you are a handsome fellow. You could have made a fine husband. I don't know if she's a real person or not, but she's making that comment there on our Facebook page. So, Mr. Matapo, I think we have covered this topic, and I can say we have gone up to the stage where no one really knows what's going on. And we should take it from maybe next week, we come back. There's a lot of military activity taking place in Southern Africa. And I wanted us to take a look again. You gave us information on the Mozambique situation. And I think we need to go back and give people an update on what has happened with the terrorist attacks in Mozambique. And I think that's where we should maybe go next week. Is there anything else you want to say before we close?
Yeah, just a little bit, just to say, Zimbabweans, please remain steadfast. Zimbabweans, this is the time that we should all use our brains. This is the time that we should all understand what is around us. If we let this go and let these devils continue to abuse us, tomorrow our country will be a Chinese colony. These devils are just benefiting from what they are being given by the Chinese. And should we allow that? Never, never, ever. We should never allow that. Youngsters in the 60s, 70s, they took up arms against Ian Smith. If that is the way, then it will be. I'm saying we will not allow this to continue any further. Zimbabweans are suffering all over the world. Zimbabweans are suffering at home. And we cannot allow that. We cannot keep on going like this. But anyway, good luck. When I give my signal, it is going to be peaceful. We don't want any violence. Can Zimbabweans out there talk to their relatives, their friends, their brothers, sisters who are in the army, who are in the police force, who are in the CIO, prison service, and everywhere, that they should join Zimbabwe People Power Movement. The time to join Zimbabwe People Power Movement is now. If you are not part of Zimbabwe People Power Movement, then I don't know where you are. My number is there. You can see it on the screen. Get in touch with me and be part of Zimbabwe People Power Movement so that we move together and take power from the devils. They are just a handful. They are not more than 500, men and women who are enjoying our fruits, our minerals, and everything, whilst we are suffering. I've always sung a song. Tofirawo matondo, sevana vembira, isu tiri vanhu tatambudzika. Should we die in the forest because someone is enjoying in our country? Never, ever. We should never allow that. So I'm calling upon all Zimbabweans to come forward and be part of Zimbabwe People Power Movement. I thank you.
Right. Thank you very much, Mr. Albert Matapo from the Zimbabwe People Power Movement. And I think we should now end this broadcast. We're on almost 1 hour. And for everyone who's watching on YouTube and Facebook, thank you very much for watching. Please like, comment, and share. And if you want to become part of a broadcast, let's say I'm talking to Mr. Matapo, if you want to become part of our broadcasts, what you do is you WhatsApp me on my number during the time when we're talking, and we're going to add you, and you can talk to Mr. Matapo directly. So next week, we're going to have a chat again with Mr. Matapo. I'm going to advertise the date and time, and you can tell me upfront so that we'll send you the link and you can join and become part of this video discussion. Thank you very much, Mr. Matapo, and we'll have you back again next week. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.